Anytime I talk to a NASCAR fan, there's a particular quote from The Office that just continues to ring in my head.
I wish there was a way to know you're in the good old days before you've actually left them.
It's from the character Andy Bernard when he finally reaches his dream job, only to find out that he really misses his 9 to 5. There's been a lot of talk in our sport about how to bring the traditional culture back to racing. But what if I were to tell you there was a top-level series where it never left? With what seems like over-entitled drivers, a car that looks more like a sports car than a stock car, and a championship format that is almost incomprehensible, you might find yourself asking, how did we get here? As much as it may feel like a NASCAR thing, it really isn't. AAU and travel sports has basically commodified even the most relatable sports across America. And if you really wanted to trace the problem, you would have to start in the 80s to the late 90s, as America transitioned from a manufacturing-based economy to a financial one. We traded factories for cubicles, blue-collar callous hand drivers for young baby faces, who never even worked on a car before. As this transition took place, we lost our love of fixing things. Working on your car is where many fell in love with the marvel of motorsport through sheer admiration of what people could do with a vehicle. And that pastime simply became less and less common. And how did NASCAR respond to this, paired with ever-shrinking attention spans? The best way they knew how, with the introduction of stage racing and playoffs. Year by year, we lose one more of the old guard to retirement. And every year, we feel further and further from the old days of stock car racing. Don't get me wrong. The playoffs and stages have created some incredible moments, and I would even argue some of NASCAR's most iconic moments. In full transparency, I'm a relatively new NASCAR fan. I personally love these additions. However, during the off-season, I turn on old races from the 80s and 90s, and I can empathize with the portion of the fan base who longs for NASCAR to return to its pure blue-collar roots. To that audience, I have some good news. Do you ever wish there was a top-level stock car series that was like the Cup Series, but separate? Sure, there's 1,000 different local series, but they all seem small and too regional. And of course there's the Cars Tour, but even that just feels like a minor league for the Xfinity and the ARCA series at this point. No, I mean a top-level stock car series that has blue-collar roots, pure racing, and gimmick-free? Well, look no further than the NASCAR Modified Series. Technically, NASCAR's oldest division. The NASCAR Whelen Modified Series is the top-level asphalt modified series in America. I'm not going to get into the full history of the series. I'd recommend Slap Shoe's video. It's damn near a perfect run-through of that. But there's no stage racing, no playoffs, and a lot of these drivers are just blue-collar guys who work on their own cars. It really has it all. There are a few drivers who are part-time in some of NASCAR's other divisions, but technically, this isn't a feeder series. These are just some badass drivers who go out there and race for nothing other than the love of it and for the recognition of a small, albeit very passionate community. Even doing research for this, I tried to look up biographies on these drivers. I couldn't find much of anything. That's how low profile these drivers are. When I talk to former NASCAR fans now, the feeling I always get is a sense of resentment that NASCAR made all these drastic changes to the sport and gave this particular viewer nothing in return. And to me, the sad thing is, NASCAR has had this asset the whole time, and with a few small tweaks, I think we could make incredible progress on rebuilding the relationship with these fans. 1. Outreach. This one is tricky. I want people to see the amazing old school racing the Modified Series has to offer, but of course, there's a balance. The more people who watch, the more investment that comes in. The more investment that comes in, the higher need to get a return on investment. And then we're back to square one, having to introduce new features into the race to up the entertainment value. But I think we are a ways away from that, so let's just focus on growth. So here's the thing, I love float racing, and it gives a chance for your local short track to make some money on streaming, which was impossible a decade ago. Or at least that's what I understand of it. However, I wish NASCAR would provide a free option. Now I understand after paying for Flow that they still run commercials, which, you know, is something. But maybe NASCAR can stream it on YouTube and Twitch and have more commercials and sponsorships. It's just such a shame that this top level series of stock car racing could bring back so many old school fans, and it's behind a service many of them have never even heard of. And this would also allow NASCAR to test a whole new way of broadcasting. Imagine a live streamer based approach to broadcasting, where the audience could react to the race and ask commentators questions live on the spot. Sure, there'd be a troll problem, but if the top streamers in the world can handle it, surely NASCAR could. And if YouTube and Twitch is too young of an audience, then you can go live on Facebook as well to capture both. Really, the options are limitless. Since I started working on this project, NASCAR has announced that some of the NASCAR Wheel and Modified series is actually going to be shown on the NASCAR channel on Tubi, which is a free streaming service, which is a step in the right direction, but I still think a more popular platform would make more sense. But to bring back those heartbroken lost fans, there's another thing NASCAR should do. Change the branding. Let me start by saying, I love the logo. Do not change the logo. I pretty much just mean everything else as far as like the graphics and the packaging. I don't know why the Modified series branding matches everything else on Flow. It makes it feel small and frankly cheap. I know that's harsh, but true. NASCAR, call me. In a matter of days, I could put together a mood board. There's no reason we shouldn't take this opportunity to take our fans back to vintage racing, and that goes for the branding too. From the graphics to the promos, every year could be a throwback to a different era of NASCAR. One year it'll feel like the 80s, another the early 2000s, the next the 50s. We can have the commentators dress up in that era. This would also be something to hype up every year with an announcement, like what is the Modified series going to be inspired by in 2027? Sure, some of the drivers might find it cringe, but at least the gimmicks are staying off the track. And if going full stop on the gimmick is too much, merely just taking inspiration from the different eras would be a huge step in the right direction. It's becoming clear that all of our most recognized brands are choosing to head into this minimalized hellscape with their branding. I believe American culture will reach a breaking point with this, and NASCAR can use this as an opportunity to be on the forefront of change by creating an interesting yearly branding packages for the series. And one last thing, fights. Now the Modified series doesn't seem like other series, it seems pretty respectful, and the drivers all seem like they don't cross the line too often. But when they do, let them go at it. Ban the crew guys if anything, but be way more hands-off than you are in Cup. From what I hear, even when they don't announce it, NASCAR will still hand out fines for fighting. Don't do that here. Let the veterans teach them young drivers how to race, the old school way. No fines, just fists when need be. And there's a bit of an asterisk here when it comes to no gimmicks. There are a few gimmicks when it comes to starting grid at some of the races that I do think NASCAR should get rid of. And there you have it. Even my critiques are pretty minute. To bring it back to our old friend Andy from The Office. We long for the days of watching average men and women doing incredible things with a race car. Even though we can hang on to the few drivers in Cup that represent what we believe the core of the sport used to be, let's all enjoy this top-level series that still holds on to the grassroots, homegrown culture we've all been searching for. Because Lord knows, even this series might be out of reach for the average Joe one day. With a subscription to Flow, you can watch the Modified drivers chase history just like the legends of the past. And sure, many of them are Yankees and even Canadian, but we'll forgive them for that. Merely for the fact that they've been keeping this series alive all these years. So in between cheering for the Josh Berrys and the Ryan Preaces in the Cup Series, come on down and watch the Modifieds. And even if the cars look slightly different, the spirit and the passion of everything you and I love about the sport started by some no-good bootleggers lives on. I'll see you there.